been talking about seasons change, and that means you got to go from one season to the next. How many of you all are happy that we're almost in a spring-summer season in Minnesota? Online, they've got some people in Florida, and there was like, you always talking about the sunshine, and we have sunshine. Close your mouth, close your mouth. But for us here, right? So I'm not going to hold on to my winter season when God is getting ready to bring me into spring. What I'm challenging you to think about today is do not get stuck in a season. Don't let what happened, don't let what someone said, don't let even how you feel keep you in a season that has passed. I would look interesting if I had on, my fur coat and hat and gloves in July. If y'all, come on, stop. If you came to the church picnic and you saw me with a fur coat on and a hat, you'd be like, are we praying for Pastor? Is he all right? Right? But it's the same thing when God is in a different season and you're over here. He's in a healing season and you're in a sad season. He's in a season of joy and peace and you're a season of worry and doubt. So all I'm asking you to do today is open your eyes up and go, what season is God in? And where is he going? And what is he doing? And how does he want to do it? I don't know how the seasons change. They just do. I mean, I have ideas. Oh, y'all looking at me like that. How many of y'all know exactly even how a phone works? I'm not talking about you tapping numbers. I'm talking about if I threw it to the ground and broke it in pieces that you could put it back together. How many of y'all even know how a CD player works? You just put that thing in there and close it and be like, and if it goes, you be like, I don't know. I was explaining to somebody not that long ago, the number one way we fixed things in the 80s and 90s was what? You hit it. If something didn't work, you'd be like, And then if you did this, you'd be like, oh, it might be working. Well, the thing is, what I want you to think about is God having to hit you this morning to get you to work? Is he having to push you? Because, see, the season is changing. I don't need to know how. That's not my job. My job is to change. Can I tell you something? Stop trying to figure out how it's going to happen and just let it happen. I'm going to preach to the people online because y'all quiet. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just let it happen. Don't worry about, well, I don't understand, but this isn't looking the way I thought it was going to look. Well, this isn't doing what I thought it was going to do. This isn't. Who are you? There was a song they sang last week that I'm going to make sure they sing next week. They said, who am I to deny God? Who am I to deny God and tell him what he can or cannot do? So we're going to talk specifically today about this in this series, trust God enough to let it go. I'm going to challenge you today to trust God enough to let it go. Our foundation scripture for this series is in Ecclesiastes. It says, for everything there is a season. Everything in your life, there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest. If you are looking for a harvest when it's planting season, you are going to be frustrated. Some of you are in planting seasons with your relationships, and you're trying to harvest. There's nothing to harvest because you ain't planted. Because you haven't planted anything. Some of you are looking for a harvest and a raise at work, but you haven't planted no. Let's move on. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build up. What season are you in? Recognize if you see construction tape and people with hard hats, you go, oh, we're in construction season. And I'm okay with that if I know the outcome of a thing. But if you get caught up in the midst of a thing. One time I was going through this thing at work and I had to go through kind of like testing to determine how high I could go in the organization. It's the easiest way I can explain it. And so they asked me, they said, Chris, what is your approach in life? What's your motto? And I was sitting there and there was a panel of people asking me this question. And I said, I'm a before and after guy. And this woman on the panel said, what does that mean? I said, I don't need to see the finished product up front. It doesn't bother me to walk in an all white room. I can begin to say, you know what if we put the couch there? What if we put a window there? I said, I'm okay with that, but I have to have an outcome at some point. Right. If I start watching HGTV at night, I am going to stay up until they do the reveal. Sleepy and all, I'm like, get to the, I wonder how the kitchen gonna look. I have to, I'm serious, I cannot. If I start a movie, the other night, my son mentioned a movie, he was in the car and we're talking about it. I go home, honest to goodness, it was on TV. I was tired. Pastor Jori was giving me, are you staying up? And I was like, yes, I just got to finish. I got to find out. There's something in me that I know that when a season changes, something else is coming. I gotta wait. I gotta stand. I can't wait to see it. This is what I'm telling you this morning. God is saying to you, wait, see, hold on. I'm getting ready to do something. Just let me do my thing. A time to cry. Get your crying out. I'm not mad at you. Use all the puffs you need. But at some point, blow your nose, get in the shower, and say, now it's time for me to start laughing about something. A time to grieve and a time to dance. So today I said we're going to talk about trust God enough to let it go. Now there is a series on Netflix called Kaleidoscope. Has anyone seen that? Y'all so saved. Don't nobody watch Netflix. Y'all watching sermons all week. Well, I watch those shows so I can understand what to pray about. But anyway, I'm not promoting the show, but what I am promoting is it's an interesting concept because how this show works is probably 10 episodes. But when you turn on Netflix right now, it will pick where it's going to start the story. So if there's 10 episodes, you might start in episode 9. And then it'll just do this thing, and before you know it, you will see the whole story. So I find it interesting. That's why they call it Kaleidoscope, because it has all those different things. Anybody remember Kaleidoscope as a kid? Everybody had Cracker Jacks in here. You know what I'm talking about. So I did a kaleidoscope with this series, meaning I started telling you about Moses' life down here, and then I went back when he was over here. And so now I'm going to go back to Moses in the very beginning. Because what was happening when Moses was born, right before he was born, Joseph, which is another story in the Bible, about a man who came to Egypt. He was a slave. God does this miraculous thing, and he winds up becoming second in command of all of Egypt. Pharaoh loves him. But have you ever been loved by one leader, and then when they retire or die, the new leader act a fool? If you haven't worked long enough, stay at your job. I've had some pharaohs I've loved and some pharaohs I wanted to lay hands on. Don't put these hands on him. But so here's what's happening. So Joseph now dies and a new pharaoh kicks in. The new pharaoh did not honor God. The old pharaoh had a respect and reverence for Joseph's God because he saw the miracles God did. So this new pharaoh then started looking around because the Israelites were there, and then he started getting threatened. And he starts looking around and he says, there are more Israelites than there are Egyptians. And then his mind starts playing tricks on him. He says, and what if they get mad at us? And what if they come together? We wouldn't be able to kill them. We would not be able to control them. So what the king does, or Pharaoh does at that point, is he says, I think we need to start killing some of the Egyptian males. Here, let's pick up the story in Exodus. Remember, Exodus in the Bible means exit. So this is a time where God is getting ready to take the Israelites who have been slaves for 400 years. It's time for them to come out. Okay, so then it says, then the king of Egypt spoke to Shiphrah and Puah, the two midwives who helped the Hebrew women when they were having children. And he said to them, when you help the Hebrew women give birth, he said to them, kill the baby if it is a boy. But if it is a girl, let it live. I don't have time to go super deep, but I was talking to this with our FLC men. There's something about having a seed. See, if I take a seed, it can't replenish. I'm not saying a man or a woman who's more important, but I understand how this works. If there is no seed, you cannot produce. So he didn't mind having some of them, but he didn't want the ones who could produce more. So he says, kill all the boys, but let the girls live. But the midwives feared God. Let me tell you something. Sometimes in your life, you better fear God more than you fear man. There's going to be some times in your life where you're going to have to stand flat-footed and go, I just don't do that as a Christian. I'm not mad at you. I'm not saying I got to spit on your belief, but I'm telling you, you can't get mad at me for what I believe in. True story. I was in a situation once where there was a group of us together, and I said something about, we were talking about two different things. We were talking about Halloween at the time in this car and drinking. Now, we ain't got picket signs telling you don't give your kids candy, because some of y'all getting mad right now. I trick or treat. My kids, slow down. But at the time I was in this car, I was actually single. And they were having this conversation, and then it kind of started going into witchcraft kind of conversations, and it's okay to go see a witch if you need. So we were in this car talking. And somebody said, well, Chris, what do you believe? I said, I don't really kind of celebrate Halloween like that, and we kind of consider it a pagan holiday. And this dude, in this limo thing, it was about 5 of us in there, he went in on me. He was like, you can't give candy out to the kids? Well, what's wrong with that? And da-da-da. And I said, I just don't believe it. Well, you did it. And then I said, hold up. Last night when we were eating, why didn't you ask him to eat some of that bacon? Well, he doesn't believe in that. Well, I don't believe in this. My point was to him, I said, why you feel okay to come at me with my beliefs, but you stand back on his? So I said, hey, listen, you do what you want to do, but I get to do what I want to do. Another story. Most of you know this. I don't drink alcohol. I'm not saying you have to stop, but if you want to drink, that's your business between you and God. You're going to hell. But anyway, listen. So, my mic's hot. Stop that. Y'all stop doing that in the back. I didn't say that. So I don't drink, right? But I was in a dinner situation, and they were ordering drinks. And 2 or 3 of my friends, coworkers knew I didn't drink. And so I said, I'll just have a Coke. I said, better yet, let me have like a Shirley Temple. And then the waiter started laughing and kind of, oh my God. And, I'm saved, but when you save and you put the but at the end, that means, I was like, I said, are you laughing? And he goes, no, it's just funny. I mean, everybody's ordering drinks and you're ordering. And I said, I'm alcoholic. It's been 2 years that I've been sober. It's been a hard road. The waiter was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, I don't drink because I don't want to drink. Then he was all like, see, I just find it interesting that you can tell me what to do, but I can't tell you what to do. Don't let nobody take your Christianity from you. Don't let nobody tell you, well, you can, but I can. Hey, I tell people all the time, we're going to have to agree to disagree on some things. Okay, that was a side product. So anyway, these midwives, it says, they feared God and so did not obey the king. Instead, they let the boys live. So when those babies were coming out and they were supposed to take their lives, they were like, I'm not doing it. The midwife said, nah, I'm not going to do it. I know Jai picked up my bracelet. Don't think you keeping it. Y'all think y'all slick. You got to watch these kids. Y'all come by. He be going back to college. I be looking for stuff like, where is? And then I look at the gram. I'm like, there go my outfit right there. That looked good on him. Anyway, but the midwives feared God and did not obey the king. Instead, they let them live. So the king sent for the midwives and asked them, why are you doing this? Why are you letting the boys live? Now watch this. They answered. The midwife said, the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. They give birth easily, and their babies are born before either of us gets there. Come on, Grace. Come on, some of these pregnant moms, your birth's easy. Let me tell you something. I'm not only talking about a physical birth. I'm talking about a spiritual birth. You're a child of the Most High God. Your business is birthing easy. Your children making it to the top is easy. Your health getting back into your body the right way is easy. Don't act like somebody you're not. Don't get caught up. Baby, that's not my ways. That's not who I am. The God that I serve, he makes stuff easy for me. The king was like, kill the babies. They were like, before I can get there, I can't take the business. They can't go out of business. I can't foreclose on their property because by the time I show up, they got the money. So Pharaoh was like, what? And they were like, the babies come quick. Finally, the king issued a command to all his people. So then he said, I'm not going to talk to the midwives. I'm going to talk to my people. So he called the other Egyptians out and he said, hey, listen, take every newborn Hebrew boy and throw him into the Nile. But let all the girls live. He was like, every time you get a boy, go get him and throw them into the Nile. About this time, but let me explain something to you about when seasons are changing. What you don't understand is right at the end of winter, spring has been working underneath. At the same time, there's snow still melting, there's something growing. What I want you to realize is while the king was in the midst of doing this, God is still in the midst of doing something else. So it says about this time, a man and a woman from the tribe of Levi got married. Real simple, right? So while the king is trying to kill folks over here, this couple meet and they get married. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. And she saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. Now, some theologians and some scholars say they really believe there was literally something about Moses when he was born that she could see something that was just a little different. To you mothers, you've seen something different in your child. Yes. To you who are children who had mothers, just because they didn't tell you doesn't mean the special mark's not on you. Yes. Just because your mama didn't say it doesn't mean that God didn't put it. Yes. And even if your mother is no longer here, it doesn't mean the mark left with mama, the mark left with God. God put the mark on your life, right? So she has this baby, and because of the fact that with all this craziness going on, it says she hid him for 3 months. Tip number 1, being hidden could mean you are special. To every one of you right now who feel hidden, you feel like nobody's seeing you, you feel like you're tucked aside, let me tell you something, that's a mark of being special. Some things need time to cultivate before they bloom. Sometimes things need to sit a little while before you can have it come to the light. I took photography in high school. When we used to put the photographs in, they said go in a dark room. Because if I bring the light too early, it exposes it. See, the thing what you have to understand is sometimes God has got you in a dark room because he's developing you. Oh, I'm preaching better than you saying amen. See, what I'm telling for some of you is you feel like you drown, and baby, you're just in developing solution. God has just got you under, and you're like, I can't see much in here. I just see a little haziness. That's what's happening in a development room. When you got photography going on, things are happening but when I mix the right chemical and put it in the right room, the outcome is outstanding. Baby, you're about to be outstanding. You're about to come out of a room and people are going to be, where have you been? Girl, I've been developing. Girl, God had me in a closet. God had me locked away, but he was working on something. He was producing something. Now frame me and hang me up and put a light on me because I'm doing all right. The kids, every time they say, Dad, your light's on your phone, because I'm in the spotlight, baby, you better recognize somebody. So now she's having this baby. She's hiding him because the king is trying to kill him. But when she could no longer hide him, catch that. But when she could no longer hide him, everything eventually has to come up. Some of you are on the edge of getting ready to be exposed. Some of you are on the edge that the people who are covering you, even for the right reason, can't cover you in this next season. Companies that know they need to do right by you, now you're getting ready to be in a season where you come out, they're going to have to do right. Community leaders, you're going to be in a situation where the city's going to have to put your name on the check. Nonprofits, you're getting ready to be in a situation where you've been hidden, but it's going to be time to come out. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus, reeds, and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. And she put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds, which is like weeds and water, of the bank of the river Nile. Wait a minute. Didn't he just say, throw the boys and drown them in the Nile? What God will do sometimes is the very thing that was set up to kill you, he will use that thing to float you. The thing that somebody set up to stop you will be the very thing God uses to elevate you. So what happens is she knows now it's time that she has to bring her son out. Now listen. Don't judge me because I didn't have a lot of time yesterday. I was doing Mother's Day stuff. Okay. Because Moses looked a lot like American Girl doll. But just imagine this, this is Moses. Okay, so mama got the baby, right? But she's in a situation where she knows something has got to happen. See, at a certain point, she's like, I can't keep him anymore because the situation around me is changing, but what can I do? And she had the ability to say, let me get some tar and get a basket and line it up. And let me take my child and put him in the basket. And then let me close this basket up and bring it to a river. Let me tell you the difference between a river and a lake. A lake stays calm. A river is moving water. But when you trust God with your thing, remember I said the title of the message is Trust Him Enough to Let It Go. She had to trust God enough to say, I can't do anything else for the child. I'm at a point where I'm done. This is all I got. This is everything I can do. So she takes her child, puts him in a river, and just lets him go. Now let me tell you something. For those of you who are not even mothers, some be like, oh, that's a good Mother's Day message. No, I'm talking to bros. I'm talking to you who don't have children, but I'm talking to you who do. What is your baby that needs to be put in a basket today? Some of y'all need to pack up all your sadness and put it in here and be like, I can't, you've been holding it, it's not fixing anything. Here it is, I got to put it on the river. Some of you need to put some grown children. They try to get out the basket. Get yourself in the basket and go. Some of you need to take these financial concerns and worries and your business and your career, your health, and put it in here and say, God, I'm going to all of my appointments. I'm taking all of my medicine. But God, I need you to do something. I can't do anything else. So here I am, God. I'm putting it on the river. The same thing that's supposed to take me out could be the very thing that lifts me up. God, I need your help. Tip number 2, at some point, this baby is going to become too big to hide. At some point, this baby that you got is becoming too big to hide. You know some stuff going on in your life. You could cover it for a while. But at a certain point, it's getting to the point where everybody, what's wrong with you? You know how folks know how to ask questions. You limping again. You all right? You look a little something in here. That's why I want to look at people when they say stupid stuff. I just look at them. She's at a point where she takes her baby and puts him in a basket and puts him on the river. The third tip I want you to do is trust God enough to let it go. Come on, you know your life better than I know your life. What is the baby that you've been saying, but Pastor, I mean, this situation, this thing, this was my idea, this was my life, this was my marriage, but are you trusting God enough to just say, okay, I got to let it go? I have to let it go because I can't do nothing else with it. Don't you think that mother tried everything she could before she was like, okay, I'm at a point of breaking. God, it's on you, not me. So here's what happens. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister. So while the mom is doing this, Moses has a sister. The sister is watching mom do this. When mom releases the baby in the water, the sister keeps following. The sister's far enough away to watch it. It says she stood at a distance watching to see what would happen to him. Soon, somebody say, soon. You're not going to float long. Come on, people of God. I know it's going to be tough to let it go, but after you let it go, it's not going to take long for God to do something. See, the only thing holding God up is you won't put it in the basket. God's like, as soon as you let it go, I got another plan, but you holding on to something I'm trying to come in and do. I'm talking to some people. Put it in the basket. You know I'm looking at you. Everybody, you know I'm looking right at you. This person's looking at somebody else. Put it in the basket. So soon, Pharaoh's daughter, wait, the same man who sat up here and said, kill every boy. God is, okay, I'm going to say this. Y'all know when people say bad, but bad could mean good or bad, right? You know I'm bad. You know, bad, right? It can be both ways. So what I'm about to say means good. I feel like God be dirty sometimes. God was dirty because what God did is he went in Pharaoh's house and be like, oh, you trying to kill my kids? I'm going to get your own daughter to protect one. I'm going to get your child to protect my child. Y'all don't know nothing about it. So here's Moses floating down the river. His sister's off on the side watching, and it said, soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. And when the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. So isn't it interesting about timing? Tip number 4, God knows how to perfectly time things. At the same, come on now, you understand how a river works? That boy could have gone, oh, no, God knew what he was doing. God was like, let him go. Let him go. Pharaoh's daughter, and scene. I feel like God, you think Spielberg's a director. I feel like God be like, and lights, angels, go. All right. Soon as the baby is coming up, then she comes to bathe. And she opened up and saw the baby was crying. And she felt sorry for him. Well, why is she feeling sorry? Because the baby's floating? No, because she said this was one of the Hebrew babies. She felt sorry for him because she knew his life was in risk. She knew this. Let me tell some of y'all something. When people show up to help you and they're like, I'm so sorry, don't be all, you don't have to feel sorry for me. You can feel sorry. Write that check. Chris, C-H-R-I-S. Can you imagine Moses like, don't be feeling sorry for me. Put me back in the basket and let me float. What? Wait, what? Nah, wait a minute. We're not doing that. Moses, stop. God sent help. Stop it now. She said she saw him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter. So his sister's watching, and right after she finds him, all of a sudden she shows up and she says to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you? God knows what he's doing. Pharaoh's daughter said, yes, go, she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. You're going to let the business go and somebody can call you back like, would you run the business? I was hoping you was going to call. Yes, she said it. Okay, so she goes and gets Moses' mom. And then Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you. I'm out. I will see y'all next Mother's Day. The baby she let go, who was getting ready to die, is not only rescued, but then sent back to the mama to take care of and get paid to do it. Girl, if you don't say something to me in this house. So Moses' mom takes him home and nurses him and takes care of him. Do you trust God enough to let this thing go? You about to strangle it? Because she was going to get to a point where he was going to get caught. Can I tell you, I don't want you, I'm going to just say it this way. Some of y'all are getting a warning. If you don't let it go, it's going to drown. It's going to get killed. But if God does it, if you let God do this thing, he will take the very thing that was getting ready to hurt you and kill you and save you. True story happened. A minister I heard tell this story. He was in a rainstorm. It was just really raining hard, kind of lower parts of Florida. But he was in the middle of the, not middle of the night, but late night. And he said he could hardly see, and he said he was pulling over, driving a little bit. And he said as he was driving on this bridge, he knows the bridge, so he said he kind of had a sense of how much further he needed to go. And on the bridge, in the middle of the night, he sees someone. And the guy is doing like this, jumping up and down. So he said, I swerved over away from the guy. And the guy kept jumping and running in front of his car. He said, so then I swerved the other way. Now, don't be holy. It is in the middle of the night and raining, and you see somebody looking crazy, drenched, jumping up and down. He said every time he turned, the guy kept running to catch up with him to stay in front of his car. So he said he finally slowed down long enough, and he said he was going real slow, and the guy was walking with him as he was, and he opened his window, he said, just enough. He said, what do you want? He said, the bridge is out. He said, you can't see it, but another 30 feet, it just ends because it broke because of the storm. He said, I was jumping up and down because I wanted you to stop before it was too late. I've come to tell you, God is jumping up and down in front of your life today, saying before it's too late. He's here this morning when you thought you just came from Mother's Day to say, before it is too late. I've come to tell you something. Let this thing go. You better not be sad tonight. Now, you better cry and laugh at the same time. You better plant harvest at the same time. I'm planting. You better pack this thing up. You know what this baby is, don't you? You know what it is. You know what boss, teammates, health crisis. Put it in this basket and be like, God, I'm out the way. Now the mama's getting paid to take care of her own child. But Moses had a greater call on his life. Because after she nursed him, it says when the child grew older, again, some theologians say now he's about 5 or 6 years old, the mother had to take him back to the kingdom and go see Pharaoh's daughter. And she named him Moses and said, here he is. At some point, you're going to have to let this thing go all the way. But the reason is, Moses, the Bible says, was going to become the man who was going to free all the Israelites. But you know what God did? He brought him in the kingdom so he could learn their customs and their ways. He brought him in so he can understand how things work. I'm telling you something. You don't understand some of this. God has got a whole system and process Well, why can't I leave? Because he wants you to learn this stuff. Well, I want to move. He wants you to stay right here until you grow all the way out of this. Don't rush God because God's got a process. Then Moses lives in the kingdom for 35 plus years, learning and gathering. But it was a setup. While Moses was running the hallways around the kingdom, he was learning and he was watching. Let me ask you all a question. Don't you think a daddy would know if his daughter was pregnant? I mean, when Corey gets married and, says, Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant, and I'm going to notice it. Why didn't Pharaoh kill Moses up front? Because when all this was happening, he was like, kill all the babies. And all of a sudden, his daughter come in talking about, this is my child. Where you pick that one up? Buy one, get one. What happened? Where'd you get this? God will blind the eyes. People who want to do you evil, God will shut their mouths. He will make them do favor. God had favor on Moses' life. I've come to tell you, there is favor on your life. But if you don't let this thing go, it can never happen. It's starting today with you. Pack up your problem. Put it in the basket and say, God, here I am. Here it is. I am done. Well, who's the one watching my back? That's not your point. Your job is to let it go. It didn't say the mom followed the basket. It said the sister did. The mom let it go and went home. It didn't say the mom said, now, daughter, go follow it. You just got 100% just say, here's this business idea. I'm just letting it go, God, here. But what I will tell you to do this is stand in place. There's another scripture in the Bible, so stand and watch and wait and see the salvation of the Lord. At some point, somehow, God has got to do it. My question to you before you leave is what baby? What baby do you need to put into this basket today? You put your divorce in there and be like, God, go ahead, here. Was not what I planned. I get it. Put the divorce in there and be like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't have a baby. Put that in there and God will bring a baby. Oh, the business idea, put it in there. But I need you, now listen, don't y'all show up at Thibodeaux, well, 50 y'all with baskets. My pastor said, do it in here, right? Because I see some of y'all, I'm getting a basket tonight. Y'all so literal, I'm just saying. But you got to get a basket spiritually. You got to, now I will tell you, Pastor Jori and I have done this in our lives. We have done some physical things to do a representation of some spiritual things. We have taken stuff and written it down and said, okay, throw it in the trash because that's not coming back in our house. Throw it outside and let them come take it away. So that if I wanted to go find it, it would be the hardest thing in the world for me to find it. So if you need to do some physical things to attach to this, go ahead, put it on your vision board, do whatever. But what I am saying is this, don't let yourself run into a bridge that is out. Because God is here to warn you today. But I've come to tell you this. Happy Mother's Day, moms. Happy Mother's Day. I've come to tell some of you brothers and aunties and cousins, happy Let Baby Go Day. Now, let me make sure I understand this too, because some of you mamas is clapping too hard. Go get your kids from Kid Life, though. God told me let them go. No, come on, did you get some out the word today? Amen.